All right, let's talk about stress. But here's the thing, we're not just going to talk about surviving it. We're going to go deeper to understand it, reframe it, and actually build the skills to thrive. And we're going to start with a feeling I'm pretty sure you know all too well. Yeah, that feeling. We've all been there, right? That completely overwhelming sensation when everything just hits you at once. It's this primal, physical reaction, and it feels like you're spinning out of control. But the crazy part? You are so not alone in feeling this way. Just take a look at this number. That's 35.1%. That's how many people across the entire globe report experiencing stress. So that feeling you thought was just you, it's a massive shared human experience. And if we dig a little deeper, we see some small differences. The data shows women report slightly higher levels at 36.1%, compared to men at 33.6%. But look, the point isn't really about that small gap. The real story here is the sheer scale of it. It's a modern epidemic, and it's touching pretty much everyone. Okay, so what is actually going on inside our bodies when we feel like this? To get a handle on it, we first gotta understand it. So let's dive into the science of that classic fight or flight response. You know, at its most basic level, stress isn't this big, bad monster. It's actually our body's natural, super old response to a challenge. I mean, think about it. It's a survival tool that's been baked into our DNA for millions of years to keep us safe. And here's the thing. This whole process, it happens in a flash. Your brain's hypothalamus sounds the alarm, and boom, your system is flooded with adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart starts pounding, your muscles get tight, and this is the really crucial part, blood gets diverted away from your prefrontal cortex, the logical thinking part of your brain. That's not you just feeling overwhelmed, that is pure biology. It's literally why you can't think straight when you're super stressed. And that right there leads us to a super important distinction we have to make. You've got acute stress, like when you slam on the brakes to avoid an accident. It's short, it's intense, and honestly, it's helpful. But then there's chronic stress. That's the stuff from work, from money worries. That's when that internal alarm system gets jammed in the on position. And that is where the real trouble starts. All right, so if that alarm is constantly blaring, what's setting it off? If we want to get back in the driver's seat, we've got to become detectives in our own lives and figure out the sources. And usually they fall into two main camps. First, a lot of our stress comes from the outside world. You know the usual suspects, right? Work pressure, financial problems, family stuff. But now we've got these modern twists, that nonstop fire hose of negative news and the always-on grind of remote work. Our ancient brain is trying to deal with a brand new world. But hey, it's not all coming from the outside. So much of our stress we actually generate ourselves. Think about it. Perfectionism, getting stuck in negative thought loops, and oh, that classic one, just not being able to say no. That can keep our stress engine revving, even when everything outside is totally fine. So how do you know if this chronic stress is showing up for you? Well, take a look at these warning signs. Physically, is it headaches, muscle pain? Emotionally, are you more irritable, anxious? And what about your behavior? Procrastinating more, avoiding people? Just seeing these signs is the first huge step to doing something about it. Okay, deep breath. We've kind of diagnosed the problem. Now let's talk about the good stuff, the solutions. Let's open up what I like to call the Stress Rescue Toolkit and look at some real practical things you can do, like right now. First up, what do you do when you're right in the middle of it? You know, when you feel that panic starting to bubble up, you need something that works fast. We're talking 5 minutes or less. And this is one of my absolute favorites. It's so powerful. It's called the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. And what it does is it forces your brain to stop spiraling and focus on the world right in front of you. You just name 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, and you go down the list. It's like an emergency brake for your brain, pulling you right back into the present moment. Okay, so that emergency brake is great, but the real game is building a more resilient car. Right? We want to build up our resilience over time so those stress spikes don't happen as often. And that all comes down to building some solid daily habits. Now look at this list and please don't get overwhelmed. The trick is to just pick one, maybe 2, whatever speaks to you. Maybe you need 30 minutes of exercise to physically burn off that cortisol, or maybe it's 10 minutes of mindfulness to train your brain to quiet down. Honestly, even 20 minutes outside in nature can completely reset your nervous system. The magic isn't in what you do. It's that you do it consistently. Okay, so now let's zoom out even more. The final and maybe most powerful layer of defense is making some bigger changes to your lifestyle to tackle stress right at the source. Yeah, these are the big ones, the real game changers. Learning to say no, that is a legit superpower. It protects your time and your energy. And getting 7 to 8 hours of good sleep, that's not a luxury, my friends. That is non-negotiable. It's when your brain and body actually repair themselves from the stress of the day. These aren't just nice things to do. They are the absolute pillars of a low-stress life. So we've talked about tools, habits, and strategies. But what if I told you the biggest shift of all isn't about fighting stress? It's about changing our whole relationship with it. Seriously, just sit with this question for a second. What if this idea that stress is the enemy, something we have to crush and eliminate, what if that's just wrong? What if we could actually work with it? This is how we build what you might call mental immunity. It's about practicing self-compassion instead of beating yourself up. It's about accepting that, hey, life is uncertain and focusing only on what you can actually control. And it's about understanding this awesome concept called eustress. That's the good stress, the kind that gets you excited and helps you grow. That racing heart you get before a big presentation, maybe that's not panic. Maybe that's your body gearing up to be awesome. Okay, and now for something that is incredibly important. All these tools and mindsets are amazing, but sometimes they're not enough. And knowing when to call for backup, that's a sign of true strength, not weakness. So take a look at this list, and if any of this feels familiar, if stress is just this constant, heavy blanket in your life that's getting in the way, please reach out for professional help. Therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy can give you a whole other level of tools. You really don't have to go through it alone. And that brings us to this final thought, this quote that just says it all so perfectly. Look, life is always going to be full of challenges, right? The winds are always going to blow. Managing stress isn't about praying for a calm sea. It's about becoming a skilled sailor. It's about learning how to adjust your own sails so you can navigate absolutely any storm that comes your way with confidence.